And then you just have to watch the clip, and as you watch, just number them. So what's the first picture? Oh, D. And what's the second? A. And then from this, you can move on to what can you see? Or they're playing the guitar, or that's their school. So there are, yeah. There's a school, there's a man on the car, whatever. You can teach whatever language you find interesting for that moment, yeah? How about this? What level would you use it with? So first, what exactly do students have to do in this activity? They have to fill in the gaps, yeah? So it's a gap fill exercise. But what exactly do they have to, do you need which is best here, to use just the music, the song only, or the clip? For this activity, would you play the clip, or would you just play the audio music?
No,
The clip, why?
because they can't read the lips.
But if they have to write down, don't you think that the clip might make them lose focus? Yeah. Yeah. So it really depends. I mean, both ways are possible, but if it's real beginners, well, to start with, I wouldn't use this with real beginners, would you? Because then it might be too much of a challenge. Yeah. Remember the 3 C's. Culture. Is there any culture here in the? No? Yes? The song itself, isn't that culture? And I mean, you know, the way they live, or the schooling, United States, for instance, or there are a number of elements you could explore, yeah? What's the second C? So it's culture, currency. Is this current language used the way language is actually used in real life? Yeah, yeah. And it's hard to listen, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot of connected speech. The way I mean, think of someone from abroad coming to Brazil and listening to you and your family having a conversation over dinner. You know, como você tá? This kind of language that we wouldn't find in grammar books, but it's the language we use. So just like the song, and then students have. Is it challenging? Yeah. Of course. So what do you have to do? You have to grade the level of challenge. So perhaps this for intermediate students would be okay. So look at this photograph. Every time I do, it makes me. They have to listen to one single word at a time and write them. So there's the challenge of identifying the word. Perhaps they know the word, but they don't know how to spell. Or they know how to spell it, but they won't recognize because then he speaks. Actually, he sings quite fast, yeah? So you see, a number of things to be worked on. So perhaps intermediate, advanced, yeah? But not beginners. Do you agree? Yeah? How about this one? So here I give them the lyrics, per se, yeah? And then I ask a couple of questions. So why were the boys' eyes red? Because then he mentions here, yeah, how did our eyes get so red? And then you can work on this. This is, I mean, it could be something cultural. Perhaps it's even a taboo or something that you were bringing to the classroom. But then perhaps it could be what? Drug abuse? Or perhaps they just had a bad night. I mean, they didn't sleep properly. I don't know. We would have to analyze the lyrics, or perhaps a bit of interpretation. And what's this, guys? You are promoting critical thinking. So it goes much beyond the language. I mean, you are using the language, but then to really communicate your ideas, to read between the lines. So see, all this you can do with one song. You can use only the lyrics, or only the music, or only the clip, or perhaps everything together. And then you could do these activities one after the other. Or you could just pick and choose one and use for basic students, one, perhaps the pictures, because it's simpler. For very advanced students, perhaps this one that will trigger critical thinking, you see. So that's something, perhaps rule number one, and I dare say the most important rule of using authentic materials, that we like to call grade the task, not the text. Ever heard about it? Yeah? So what does that mean? you can use virtually any materials to teach anything. So you're not gonna grade, and when I say grade here, I mean adapt, adjust, yeah? You're not gonna grade the text. And again, text, not only something written, but here it's an oral text. It's a listening text. There's a reading text when you read, but when you have to listen, we call it a listening text or an oral text. Yeah, so you don't change the text. You use the text the way it is. You change or you adapt or you grade the task so that students can cope with. Just again, elementary students sorting out the pictures. Yeah. Who sings? Yeah, it's Nickelback. It's a band called Nickelback. Yeah.
May I put instead grade
The task.
the benefit, grade the benefit?
No, actually the task is the activity they have to do. So for example, in this case, what's the task? What they have to do. So is that fill in the gaps? No, it's just answer the questions, critical thinking. Here, what's the task? Fill in the gaps. Yes, so see, you're gonna grade the task. What's the task here? Is there fill in the gaps involved? No, so it is just listen and number, yeah, and sort. So this you're gonna grade. You're gonna temper, you're gonna mess with the task. So perhaps if I give this task to my advanced students, it's gonna be too easy. So what's the point? Yeah. But if I give something like this to my basic students, it's too difficult. So grade the task, not the text, has to do with the level of challenge. How much challenge can I, present? How much challenge can my students cope with? And then this is very important, guys, because some people will claim that you have to use very simple material. Those listenings of people speaking like this. Hello, my name's Felipe. I live in São Paulo. São Paulo is a great place to... who speaks like that? Now, if it's someone saying, hi, my name is Felipe, I live in São Paulo, I've been living here for... If it's natural speed or if it's like just the song, video, etc., then you're not grading the text. The text is really the one, authentic one. You're just changing the activity so that they can cope. Okay? So far, so good. So perhaps grade the task, not the text, is the first thing for us to bear in mind. Yeah? But I have this friend Chad, but I also have another friend Jimmy. And Jimmy is he's one of a kind. Jimmy is always into trouble. Jimmy's a troublemaker, and there's this girl he messes with, from his street, from the neighborhood. Man, the girl is mad at him. So have a look at Jimmy. Do you know Jimmy? This is Jimmy. What's the matter with Jimmy? Who's Jimmy? My friend Jimmy over here. You know his name? Jimmy 5. Why Jimmy 5? Because of the hair, yeah? Okay. And then, who's this? Monica, yeah? So tell your partner, what's the matter with Jimmy here? I took a picture of Jimmy as I was coming here. That's the picture. So what's going on? Tell your partner. How about here? What's going on? Yeah. How does Jimmy look in the third picture? Yeah, that's amazing. How about here? See? Yeah. So guys, tell me, what do you think is going on with my friend Jimmy? Lots of problem, yeah? But Jimmy's a troublemaker, isn't he? Yeah, you see, great. And you know what? What I would like you to do is write their conversation. So can you take a minute, the speech bubbles are blank. Would you take a minute and just write? So this is bubble 1, and 2 and 3. So just number on a piece of paper, number 1, 2, 3, and write their conversation individually. That's your secret. Don't let anybody see it. Yeah, no, could be your notebook. No worries. No, don't have to. You have to pay attention to the pictures so that what you write is right. It makes sense. Yeah, it has to make sense with the pictures. Right, thank you very much. Now you have your own story. What I want you to do is get together, perhaps pairs, trios, groups of 4. Tell your stories in your groups. Say how similar are the stories. Right, thank you. Lovely stories, yeah. Now, I'll show you what actually happened. I'll show you the real story. I want you to compare the real story to your versions. Yeah, have a look. Can you read at the back? No? So it says, wait, Monica, let's resolve our differences intelligently. And then, okay, how? How about chess? And there you go. Yeah? So you see, how similar is it to your own story? Not similar at all, yeah? Okay, great. Well, and here, guys, remember the 3 C's, yeah? What's the first again? Culture, yeah. Remember Cebolinha in Portuguese, what little problem does he have when he speaks? Give me one example in Portuguese. What would he say? Barulho, something like that, yeah? In English, what happens in English? Look, it says resolve becomes resolve. As if it was a, let's say, a W, yeah? Because then instead of the r sound, he makes the w sound. So it doesn't say resolve. He says resolve. Can you repeat resolve? He doesn't say difference. He says difference. You see, and this is something cultural you can bring to the attention of your students, because the same problem kids might have in Portuguese, speaking Portuguese, that is the problem Cebolinha has. In English, there is the equivalent, so they kind of change the r sound for w. Kids with this little issue, yeah? And that's interesting because students might not know about it, yeah? And then you were teaching something cultural. That's amazing, yeah? But now what I would like you to do is, where does the humor, do you laugh when you read this? You do, yeah? Where does the humor in the strips come from? What makes you laugh? It's the end, yeah, but what happens at the end? Exactly, yeah, so what did Jimmy want here? To play chess, so that they could, solve the differences by playing chess, resolve it intelligently, as he said before, yeah? And then what does Monica do? Yeah. So see, that makes it funny, yeah. And then with more advanced levels, perhaps intermediate, upper intermediate students, advanced students, you could bring this in to say, where does the humor here come from? This is something vestibular exams do all the time, yeah. Explain the humor, you know. And if you bring this into the classroom, what are you doing? You're going much beyond language per se. You are teaching language use, the way we make use of language to convey the message we want, the way we want to have the impact we want it to have on the listener, on the person we're speaking to, yeah? Does it make sense? Do you think this would engage students more than a reading exercise? And here, guys, very, very, very importantly, so we are dealing with, do you remember what you had to do first? You had to describe the picture, so there was speaking involved, yeah, speaking. Then I asked you to write. Then I asked you to share your stories. And then you were speaking, but your partner was listening. So there's speaking, there's writing, speaking again, listening again, and then in the end you are reading. What do we call these four things? Writing, reading, speaking. The four skills, yeah. So what we're doing here is use an authentic piece of material to teach integrative skills. So what does that mean? Exactly. So you're teaching it the way it's used. In real life, I'm speaking and you are listening. But then when you have a conversation with your friend, you're both speaking and listening at the same time. And while you're speaking, you have to think too. And perhaps your partner is saying something very important and you will take a note, so you are listening and writing. Or you at college, you have to listen to the lecturer and write at the same time. Sometimes you have to read. Sometimes you read in preparation for speak. So for example, for me to prepare for this talk this afternoon, I had to read a lot of the theory and look stuff up in the internet. So I was reading in preparation for speaking here. So see, that's the way we use language. We use language, we use the skills in this integrative way. So why is it that we always teach skills separately in the classroom? Like so this is a listening lesson, only listening today. Oh, but no, only listening. Reading, no. Reading is, why? If in real life we use it all together, yeah? So perhaps this is the second key. What's the first again? Grade the task, the activity, not the text, yeah? Is the task graded here? So this, for example, where does the humor come from? Do you think a basic student would be able to answer the question? No, but an advanced student? And then you say, this language is too simple for my advanced students. But if you do something that goes beyond the language, if you go for language use, just like the question, it's perfectly adequate. Yeah. Here, for instance, perhaps intermediate students could do it. Yeah. When it comes to describing what you see one by one, perhaps it would suit even basic pre-intermediate students. So again, grade the task, not the text. You are using the same text in 4 different ways for 4 different levels, yeah? And the second, integrative skills. As much as possible, use authentic materials to try and integrate skills so that what we do in class really resembles real language use, yeah? This is something very interesting for us to have in mind. And you know what? I don't know about you, but I still like something pretty old, pretty dated we have called television. Do you guys watch TV? Because these days there's YouTube and but TV, I mean, when I get home, probably tonight, I'll get home and first thing I'll do is turn on the TV and check the news or stuff. And I have a favorite show on TV. What's my favorite show on TV? Yeah. No. I like them too, but it's not a talk show. My favorite. It could be, but it isn't. No series. I like series a lot and I watch them, but no. See if you know. There's a guy involved. So do you know him? Do you know this guy? So this is he's in my favorite show. What's my favorite show on TV? The Simpsons. Yes. So say, tell your partner who's he and what do you know about him. Tell your partner. Yeah? Likes it. He likes it too. Yeah. And you have on cable TV, Tim Fox. Yeah, you know, that's lovely. Yeah. Really? Yeah, same as me. So, thank you. Who's he? Does anybody know? Who's he? The father. What's his name? Homer. Homer, the one who wrote the Odyssey. No, Homer Simpson. Great, yeah. And this friend of mine. I've got another friend. You know, I have many friends. Chad, Jamie, but I've got another friend, and he came across a piece of news yesterday, and there was Homer Simpson's name on the news. Actually, these 4 words appeared in this news story. He read in the newspaper, you see? So they had, shall we go together? Homer Simpson, everybody? Homer Simpson, traffic officer, picture, driving license. You know what a driving license is? Yeah? Okay, what's a driving license? It's like a document that gives you or tells the world you have permission to drive, yeah. Is license spelled correctly here? See? It's CS, yeah? In American English, yes, CS. This is British spelling, yeah? And this is, again, something cultural. You can teach your students, yeah? So British and American spelling is different, particularly the use of S or Z or C, yeah? So this is something that students might not be familiar with, so you teach them. And in Britain, you would call it a driving license, whereas in the US, you would probably say a driver apostrophe S, driver's license, CS in American English, yeah? What I want you to do is the following, guys. These 4 stories appeared in this news story, these 4 words appeared in the news stories my friend read. Can you imagine how these 4 words are connected in the story my friend read in the newspaper? So I'll give you a minute. Together with your beautiful partner, I want you to come up with a story. What might be the story that my friend read? It's a real story. It really happened. It really appeared on the newspaper. What happened? The 4 words in yellow have to be there. Okay? Off you go. Do you write or do you speak for this activity? Speak, yeah? Yeah. Right, thanks. Guys, do you have your version of the story? Do you know what happened? Did you read it on the newspaper too? No. So now I think I'll have to invite you. To come up front so that you can read, because it's very small print here. I'll show you the story, the way it was published in the newspaper. I want you to compare your version and the actual version. But would you mind standing up for a minute and coming closer? Because otherwise, I don't think you're going to be able to read. Have a look. So that's the actual story. What happened? How similar is it to your own version? It is. It really, really. I mean, it was published online. Yeah, we perhaps we might doubt, but I don't doubt it. I really think it happened. Yeah, but don't go back, guys. Can you just grab the person who's closest to you and say, how close is this version to your own version? Had you come up with this story? No. Which is more interesting, this or yours? Yeah. This, yeah? Perfect, great. And you know what? My friend read this, but I also read the same story. So he read it on Wednesday, and I read it yesterday. What day was yesterday? Thursday. So yeah, there was this lapse of a day, and I couldn't. This is the driving license, by the way. Yeah. And this is a picture that the traffic officer took, so it must be real, yeah. Can you believe it? So someone really carried this in their wallet, yeah. But as I told you, my friend read it on Wednesday, I read it yesterday, and then this morning we were kind of cross-checking, information. And there were a couple of things we were not sure about. So have a look. These are 6 statements, 6 things we said. We are we're not sure that's the way things happen. And when we're not sure and we want to clarify information, usually we use something at the end. Yeah. So for instance, I can say, oh, well, the driver knows everybody watches The Simpsons. Exactly. So what do we call this? Tag question, yeah? So the driver, so it's he. The driver knows everybody watches The Simpsons. Doesn't he? Doesn't he? Yeah? That's what I want you to do. So with the person next to you, do you think you can come up with tag questions for all of them? Just the tag question, please, yeah? Yeah. There you go, yeah. Fine. Thanks a lot, yeah? Good. So this is actually the conversation I had with my friend this morning. So remember, he read it on Wednesday, I read it on Thursday. Because we have terrible memories, we're both teachers. Teachers have a fish memory. So we were kind of cross-checking, and then what I want you to do is the following. So imagine one of you is my friend, the other is going to be me, and you are double-checking. So one asks the question, and the other has to have a quick look at the text and see if it's true or false. Yeah, so let's do the first together. So the driver knows everybody watches The Simpsons, doesn't he? Have a look at the text. Does the driver know everybody watches The Simpsons? Exactly. So he thought he would never be stopped, or that traffic officers do not watch The Simpsons. So actually, number 1, true or false? False, yeah? But then you're not, I don't want you to say true or false. I want you to have a conversation, just like, well, the driver knows everybody watches The Simpsons, doesn't he? Well, actually, he doesn't. I mean, he said he thought no one knew The Simpsons, or the traffic officers don't watch it, as if it was a real conversation. Yeah? Can you have a go at it? So one says the statement, the other has to answer. Continue the conversation as in the text. Off you go. Huh? But perhaps you two could work together? Could you work with her? Yeah. Oops. Yep. Yeah. Great. Exactly. Maybe, yeah. We never know. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks very much. Yeah. You may thank your partner. Don't forget to thank your partner. And you may go back to your places, sit back. Thank you. Great. So, what are we doing here? Are we using skills in an integrative way? Really? What are you doing here? Reading, listening to your partner, speaking. Are you writing anything? We didn't, but you could in class have asked students to write the tag questions, yeah? So there was this preparation for task, and then are you grading the task, not the text? So this is an authentic text, yeah? And then you grade the task. So with tag questions, what level do you think it's suitable for? Perhaps advanced, perhaps intermediate, maybe not beginners, yeah? The way this task is designed, but perhaps intermediate, advanced students might benefit from it, yeah? And not only this, but you can teach grammar or you can revise grammar. Perhaps you already introduced tag questions and you're just using this as a reading exercise, but also revising language. And the key here is that you are using this. It's a true or false exercise. How many true or false have students done in life? If it's an advanced student who's been with us for 5 years, let's say, how many true or false exercises? Tons, yeah. And how engaging and motivating to the student are true or false exercises? Number 1, I put you true. I put you false. I put you. That's what they would say while comparing answers. Yeah. Here, you would possibly have done this individually, and while checking answers with a partner, you wouldn't say, "I put you 1. I put you through for 1." No. You would have actually a conversation. Yeah. Well, the driver didn't want to go to prison, did he? Well, I think he did because no one would do it. No one. That's a conversation, yeah? It resembles, even if students can't produce that language, but they are having something that is closer to a real life interaction, and that's the point. So here, I'd like to bring into you another very important concept, which is genuine language use. How many activities we do in class promote language use the way it's used outside? How many times in life have you done a true or false exercise? In life, not for classroom purposes. When you read a book for pleasure, you're reading something you like, an author you like, do you do a true or false exercise?